Hello everyone, this is Princess here, and in this video we are going to talk about the next LD and burst weapons coming for Opera Omnia Global. So the Square Enix stream mentioned that the next burst character is going to be Terra. So starting with her LD weapon, we have the Soul Saber, and this will grant her the skill called Chaos Wave. So what this does is it raises her Brave by 150% of her attack. She follows up with a 6-hit AoE Magic Brave HP attack delivered twice. This deals more Brave damage on single targets. Stolen Brave has a 120% max Brave overflow, deals split damage, it grants unconditional love for 4 turns, increases her magic effect by 5, it extends any active buffs for 2 turns, and there is no turn delay. So what unconditional love does is it will nullify turn delay. It also gives her free skill uses, excluding some skills, and magic doesn't decrease. And then when magic is at 1, it restores her Brave by 40% of initial Brave. And what the unconditional love buff does on its own, so it raises magic attack, raises HP damage dealt, raises Brave based on Brave damage dealt, and this cannot be extended. So looking at the LD passives, at 1 out of 3 you get Chaos Wave power, so this raises Brave damage dealt with Chaos Wave. At 2 out of 3 you get Chaos Wave Magic Plus, which raises Brave damage dealt with 1 stack of magic. And then at 3 out of 3 you get Chaos Wave Charge, which adds 1 use to Chaos Wave, and each time you limit break her LD, this will raise her max Brave and her attack, and also increases gain Brave overflow limit. So her burst weapon is called the Zontetskin, and this will grant her the finishing burst Trance Ultima. It is a 10-hit Magic Brave HP attack that is delivered twice. Her burst effect is 10 turns and party-wide. It increases stolen and gain Brave overflow limit by 30%, increases HP damage dealt by 20% when breaking or attacking a broken target, and maximum Brave and HP damage limit goes up by 20%, and raises Brave by 50% of total Brave damage dealt. Same burst effects do not stack. Alright, so in addition to Terra getting her LD and burst, she's also getting level 80 awakening. So this means that she will be getting her calls. So her first one is Magic Meteor. When you use this, it raises own attack and magic attack by 30%, raises own max Brave by 80%, increases Brave damage dealt by 20%, increases Brave by 50% of own attack, and then Brave by 1.5. She then triggers Magic Meteor, which will be a 5-hit AoE Magic Brave single target HP attack, and then follows up with 10-hit AoE Magic Brave single target HP attack, deals more Brave damage when attacking a single target, and then lowers all target speed by 20% for 2 turns. So when you trigger the Magic Meteor Plus call, the Stolen Brave has a 150% max Brave overflow. It raises Brave by 20% of HP damage dealt after the first attack, and also extends the speed down debuff for 2 turns. So looking at the LD call, when you use Chaos Wave, Terra will perform the following actions. She will raise attack and magic attack by 30%, raise max Brave by 80%, and increases Brave damage dealt by 20%. She then follows up by using Chaos Wave over here, and then for 3 turns, the caller will get 20% magic attack up, and also raises Brave damage by 50% of total Brave damage dealt. It is once per turn though. And then when using Chaos Wave, so it increases total Brave potency by 44%, Stolen Brave has a 120% max Brave overflow, and raises Brave by 20% of HP damage dealt after the first attack. So Terra's LD and Burst is going to be featured on a story banner for Arc 3 Chapter 2. The synergy characters, or the banner mates I should say, are going to be Porum, Terra, and Vanille on this banner. And then over on this banner, this will feature Rydia, Bosch, and Vayne, and this also features Bosch's LD. So if you missed out on this before, you have a chance to get it again. So the next character to get their LD and burst this month, or rather their burst this month, is going to be Garland. So his LD weapon is going to come back. This is called the Claymore, and this grants him the skill Bind of Chaos, which is, whoops, hold on. It is a 8-hit AoE melee Brave single target HP attack. It deals more Brave damage on single targets. Stolen Brave has a 180% overflow. It deals splash damage and grants 1 level of Chains of Time effect for 4 turns, 3 levels of Soul of Chaos for 6 turns, and Soul of Conflict for 2 turns. This will also grant him a free skill use on the next turn. And then when you have about 5 levels of Soul of Chaos, this will change into Bind of Chaos Plus, which is technically the same thing, but it raises total Brave potency by 80% and also raises Stolen Brave overflow limit by 20%. So what Chains of Time does from level 1 through 5, it lowers enemies' defense by 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30%, and lowers speed by 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50%. This goes up one level when attacking. Similar effects do not stack though. So what Soul of Chaos does is it raises Max Brave and attack, and Soul of Conflict will raise attack and amount of Stolen Brave that can exceed Max Brave. Going over to the LD passives, at 1 out of 3 you get Bind of Chaos Power ++. So what this does is it raises Brave damage dealt with Bind of Chaos, and with Soul of Chaos this will change his Brave and HP attacks into Brave Attack ++, which is now 4 Brave hits, and HP Attack ++, which is a 3-hit melee Brave HP attack with a 150% Max Brave overflow. And then at 2 out of 3 you get Chains of Time Longer, which extends his Chains of Time effect for 4 turns. And then at 3 out of 3 you get Binds of Chaos Charge, which adds 1 use to his LD. Each time you limit break his LD, it raises his attack. Finally, we have his burst weapon called the Zanmato. This will grant him the Finishing Burst Ultimate Conflict, which is a 15-hit AoE melee Brave HP attack that deals split damage. It deals more Brave damage on single targets. His burst effect, now this is the best part, his burst effect is 6 turns and is party-wide. It raises Brave damage dealt by 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50%, raises HP damage dealt by 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30%. It raises maximum Brave damage limit by 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40%, and also raises Stolen Brave overflow limit by 20, 25, 30, 35 to 40%. The level increases after every ally's turn, and the level resets when an enemy takes a turn. Some burst effects do not stack though. So looking at Garland's call, it's going to be Soul of Chaos. When you use this, Garland will raise own Max Brave by 30% and attack by 95%, and then he will use Soul of Chaos. So for 3 turns, the caller will have 10, 20, and 30% of Max Brave up and attack up. The effect level increases by 1 after the caller attacks an enemy. This does include first turn after the call is used, as well as finishing bursts, counters, traps, and chase sequences, and the effect level will go up only once per turn. So when using the Soul of Chaos call, Stolen Brave has a 150% Max Brave overflow, and the effect duration goes up by 3 turns. Alright, so when you call Garland in for the Bind of Chaos call, so it raises own Max Brave by 30% and attack by 95%. He follows up with the Bind of Chaos attack, and then for 2 turns, he lowers all enemies' defense by 10, 15, and 20%, lowers all enemy speed by 10, 20, and 30%. Effect level goes up by 1 after the caller attacks an enemy. This excludes the first turn after the call is used, including finishing bursts, counters, traps, and chase sequences, and the effect level will go up only once per turn. So when you use the Bind of Chaos call, this becomes a 5-hit AoE melee Brave single target HP attack delivered twice, raises total Brave potency by 120%, Stolen Brave has a 180% Max Brave overflow, and the effect duration goes up by 2 turns. So Garland's Eldian Burst is going to be featured on a raid event. So his banner mates for this banner specifically are going to be Garland, Freya, and Agrius. And then on the other banner, it will feature Lena, Ida, and Seven's gear. This also features Garland's Burst, and this will also have Seven's LD, which I will talk about in another video. So now I'm going to head over to Opera Omnia JP, and I'm going to showcase Terra and Garland's skills. So give me a quick second. Okay, so we're back in Opera Omnia JP. So here is my Terra over here. I have her burst weapon on her, and her LD passive is right over here. I also have her 7-star armor on her as well. And over here is my Garland, same thing, burst, and he has his LD passive, which is right over here. And I also have a 7-star armor on him as well. Alright, so we're going to demonstrate with Garland first, since he's up first. I should also mention that Garland and Terra do get some reworks. So this follow-up that you see here, this is part of Garland's LD board, if I remember correctly. So we're going to go over to Terra over here. So here's Chaos Wave. So now she has like 5 extra skill use, or 5 turns here, 5 free turns, and you can just, she has free skill uses as well, so you can just go nuts and just spam Meltdown or Meteor depending on how many enemies you're fighting. The way how I do it is, if there's like more than one enemy, I'll just spam Meltdown, and if there's just one, then I'll just go in with Meteor. And for my favorite call to use for her, I always like giving her Hope's Call because of the magic resist down. So now I'm going to go in with the burst. And I don't know if you can hear it, but yeah, the Final Fantasy VI boss theme is playing right now. But yeah, with Terra's LD and burst, well, with her LD specifically, she is just amazing. I love using her for any sort of Lufenia fight where I can just go crazy with damage, and I will occasionally like to pair her up with other characters like Noctis or Cloud of Darkness or X-Death. I know those, well, I know X-Death Burst isn't here yet, but those are just like some fun team comp ideas that I'd like to go with for Terra. Alright, so we're almost finished here. Alright, so here's Trance Ultima. And she does go into trance mode, which is really cool. The thing to keep in mind, though, about her finishing burst is that it's single target damage. It's not like, it's not an AoE attack, so just remember that. Alright, and the burst effect is for 10 turns. Alright, so now I'm going to do this again. I'm going to restart this fight again, I should say, so that I can go in with Garland, so give me a quick second. Alright, so we're going to start with Garland now. Alright, so let's do EX first. So with Garland, what I really like about Garland's LD and burst, well, Garland's burst I should say, since his LD is already in global. So first off, like with his rework and with his LD boards, and the follow-up damage that he gets, it does make it easier for him to like deal 1,000,000 damage when he's in the burst phase. And as I mentioned with Terra, like if you pair him up with someone like Terra and like just go nuts with her LD, she can like really benefit from the burst effect. So that's one of the things I really like about Garland. And he just hits really hard though, and the extra HP damage and brave damage, I love that in particular. That always that's usually like my go-to for whenever I'm doing a Lufenia. And another thing about Garland, remember he can delay the enemies by a ton with his skills. So the enemies barely get a turn. So here's Ultimate Conflict. Alright, so here's his burst effect. So as you can see, it says 6 turns, and it just went up to 2 right over there because now it's Terra's turn. So I'm going to use Chaos Wave for a bit here. Now remember, each time a turn goes by, his burst effect will go up. So it just went from 2 to 3. And his burst effect, the level resets whenever an enemy takes a turn, but that's not going to be happening anytime soon because Garland already delays the enemies by a ton. And if you're running characters who get like free skill uses, or consecutive turns I should say, like Terra or Lightning or Ultima, they benefit greatly from his burst effect. So with that being said, that covers up pretty much everything for Terra and for Garland's LD and bursts. So thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know who you are going to be pulling for this month, and I will see you all next time.